Hello, welcome back. Today we'll be talking about motivation as a psychological principle in life. So, what then is motivation? Motivation can be defined as a fundamental psychological concept which explains why an individual engages or initiates, directs, and sustains behavior towards specific goals. Motivation is also the driving force behind human decision, action, and persistence. Motivation is literally what compels, like what makes you do what you're doing. That's your motivation. So, in very simple and clear terms, motivation is a driving force. Having known what is motivation, we now move to the types of motivation. There are two types of motivation: the intrinsic motivation and the extrinsic motivation. The intrinsic motivation refers to the internal forces that makes you do what you're doing. That's in a basic and clear terms. While the extrinsic are the situational, environmental, external forces that makes you do what you're doing. So from my notes here, I said intrinsic motivation refers to engaging in activities for their inherent satisfaction. This type of motivation is driven by internal desire rather than external reward. For example, a young person might decide to learn a trade based on the passion he or she has for that particular line of trade. And if you try to force this person to learn another trade, he or she might learn that trade not with the kind of motivation she would have had or he would have had in that particular line that he or she had passion and desire for. That is the intrinsic motivation, the inner desire. This other motivation comes with satisfaction, inner satisfaction, like you feel happy that you've been able to do this thing, like you feel very happy without any reward. It just gives you peace. That is the intrinsic motivation. Now, extrinsic motivation, as we earlier said, deals with the external forces, environmental, situational forces that makes an individual do what he or she is doing. From what I have on my notes here, I said extrinsic motivation. This occurs when behavior are influenced by external rewards or pressure. This external reward or pressure might be money, it might be to avoid punishment. Those are the external, the situational, the environmental forces that makes an individual do what he or she is doing. Not because that thing he or she is doing has really given him the inner satisfaction, but this one, the extrinsic, focuses on reward and punishments. So, for example, a student might study hard to make good grades and avoid being criticized. Now, that student did not make that grade because there was this desire within him or her to just make the good grades. But this person made that grades. Maybe the parent had said, if you come first in class this thing or this thing, I'm going to buy you a new toy. So you see the child will put in everything to read, do their assignments, like do whatever it takes to come first in class because the mommy and daddy had promised them a new toy. Or in a situation where there are two siblings, one does better than the other. So every end of the term, the parents keep criticizing the other one that doesn't do well and praising this other one that does well. The one they praise will keep reading and reading so that the praises can keep coming, while this other one they criticize is left with no other option than to read, do his or assignments, do everything it takes to make a good grade, to avoid being criticized. That exactly is an extrinsic type of motivation. That leads us now to the theories of motivation. Number one theory of motivation we have today is Maslow hierarchy of needs. From what I have here on the notes, I said according to Abraham Maslow, individuals are motivated to fulfill basic physiological needs before pursuing higher level such as the esteem and the self-actualization. So, according to Abraham Maslow, he said human needs are hierarchical in nature. That the first need should be is physiological need. After physiological need is safety, like that. So we have the esteem need, and the last is self-actualization. Now, if you've not achieved physiological need comprises of let's food, clothes, shelter, sex, and etc. If you've not fulfilled this need, there will be no motivation for you to achieve the other one. If you do not have a house, what then will you need a security guard for? I don't know if you understand. So, likewise, someone that aspires to be a professor, own a PhD, you need to have what to eat. You need to have where to lay your head. You need to have what to wear before going now to pursue the other one. So at that instance, when you've gotten the physiological need, it's okay to move now on to the next need. That is what this motivation is talking about. This motivation simply states that human needs are hierarchical in nature, that when you achieve this one, you have the motivation to go for the other one. It is just simple, and that is just how life is. This thing, for example, you have what to eat, you have all the physiological need. Now, you need to secure what you have. That is safety, the safety need. After securing what you've gotten, you will now proceed to, if maybe you had a BSc, you now want to go for your masters and the rest of it. Now, those ones are secondary. The primary need was the physiological need. Since you've achieved the physiological need, you now had to push and push. That's what this particular theory of motivation is talking about. Now, the second theory we have on our list is the expectancy value theory. This particular theory, from what I have on my note, I said this theory suggests that motivation is influenced by expected outcome. Now, for example, a worker, you have to wake up in the morning, bath, show up at your workplace so that at the end of the month you will be paid. The money is your motivation, because if you don't show up, they won't pay you, and you need the money to survive. You need the money to pay your bills, so you will be left with no other choice than to show up every day, do what you're supposed to do, and get your payment. That is what expectancy value theory is trying to say. Now, the last but not the least on our theories of motivation is operant conditioning. This theory focuses on reinforcement and punishment. Now, like the example I used while explaining the extrinsic type of motivation, this theory really talks about the extrinsic type of type of motivation. Now, if a child, a clear example, a child that doesn't read, a child that comes last in class at all time, the parent might promise that, oh, if you don't improve, I won't pay your fees again. You're wasting my money. So for the child not to become a dropout, the child is now left with no other option but to read and improve in his or her grade. And secondly, a child that the parent says, oh, you've done well, if you do better, if you come first, let's say the child came second, and the parent is now saying, if you come first by next term, I'm going to buy you a bicycle. That child, now that bicycle is the motivation, it is the basis in which that child will read everything readable to pass. That is what operant conditioning theory of motivation. I hope you found this video helpful. I appeal to everyone to stay subscribed. Click on the notification bell so you can get notifications on our new video. We'll see you on our next one. Love you.